Every day, 40 miles west of the Las Vegas Strip, a small, tight-knit team scale the hills of Mount Charleston. Among them, Errol Spence Jr. and Elliott Buckling. A morning run into the skies of Nevada has become part of the schedule since Spence traveled from Texas for this weekend's super fight against Terrence Crawford. Grueling work even without temperatures reaching 110 degrees. Thankfully, Buckling is used to the grind. He has been on a long and winding road towards boxing's summit ever since leaving the town of Yeovil in England's West Country. It has taken him across the pond, via the army and clandestine video tutorials behind restroom doors. It has included deep-sea algae and daily dollops of hot sauce. Eventually, it has led him here, the sport's highest peak. Buckling's client list now includes Spence, Gervonta Davis and Anthony Joshua. In recent weeks, he has been involved in Davis vs. Ryan Garcia, Joshua vs. Jermaine Franklin and now Spence vs. Crawford. Often I'll have times where I'll just take a step back and think, wow, how did this happen? Buckling tells MailSport, no wonder. His job? To manage fighters' diets as they prepare their bodies for battle. Weight is crucial in any fight, but it will be particularly pivotal on Saturday night with the undisputed welterweight crown on the line. Spence has never made 147 pounds with ease. A big job, then. Especially for a bloke who learned to cook on YouTube. Buckling boxed as a youngster and had world title ambitions until his mom offered a brutal reality check. She said, "You might end up just being a nearly guy," he recalls. Which in boxing is a pretty grim place. And so, after a brief stint in the army, Buckling began studying nutrition and working as a personal trainer. He helped MMA fighters and then, through an associate, another avenue opened. In early 2020, Buckling flew to the United States. "I only came out here to speak to somebody about some potential work," he recalls. It was Frank Clark, who rose from Skid Row to become a linebacker for the Denver Broncos, and then the whole world shut down, Buckling recalls. Suddenly, he and Clark were spending lockdown together in Los Angeles. Eventually the football player asked, "Can you cook?" "I said yeah, but I couldn't really," Buckling recalls. "So I was in the bathroom watching how to cook a steak." Before long, however, a call. Would he work with Davis? At this point Buckling had never been to Vegas. He had never even driven on American roads. It, he thought. "I just got in the car and drove 4 hours and cooked dinner for Gervonta." He was soon controlling tanks every calorie. He had the reputation for being a fat boy and undisciplined, Buckling says of the vicious world champion. Now that's kind of in the past. This week will be another stern test of his methods. Spence has said this will be his last fight at 147 pounds. "Now I'm in camp with these guys. I'm realizing what they used to do before me and it's crazy," Buckling says. They were starving themselves of food and hydration. Buckling's diet plans have a few founding principles. Nothing from the packet, for one. We focus an awful lot on gut health and brain health. Those things are very linked. When they say, go with your gut, they say that for a reason. It's like a second brain, he explains. So fish oils are crucial. Ginger and turmeric, too. Everything he needs for his brain, his eyes, his all-round health, his movement. Spence's day, for instance, includes 5.5 liters of water and often starts with a sip of blue-green algae. It's very good for the brain, Buckling explains. We tick all those boxes and then dinner. We can play with a little bit. That is his chance to cook to their tastes. A happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and I'm just trying to keep them as happy as I can with food, Buckling explains. I try to take the things they really, really love, such as hot sauce, typically super high in sodium and just a nightmare to eat all the time. So he makes one. Even Americans' sweet tooth can be a weapon. Take their love of peanut butter. If you're eating it at the wrong times, it's full of calories and you'll soon get fat, he says. But at certain times of the day, it's one of the best things you could eat. Buckling adds, I'll turn up to a Gervonta fight with a bag full of candy. It looks like I'm going to a kid's party. Because I want him to eat that candy and turn into a little kid. Buckling laughs. Give candy to a kid and watch them run around, skidding on their knees and stuff. I want that in a boxing ring. There is, of course, one crucial factor in deciding what a boxer should put into their body, how much they eke out of it. That's why it's quite important for me to be either in the house with them or very close by, Buckling says. This morning we ran the mountains and I was right next to Errol. He will be on the bag alongside him too. For me that's incredible. A kid from Yeovil, Buckling says. I love it because it's home. But it's one of those places where nobody gets out. Spence trains under Derek James, whose stable is now bulging with talent including Spence, Garcia, Joshua and Jermell Charlo. For nutritionists, AJ poses a different challenge. Rather than worry about weight limits, Buckling has to find a way to feed the heavyweight 6,000 calories a day. For context, Spence and Davis might need 2,500. Earlier in his career, Joshua's problem was that he wouldn't finish meals. That made it impossible to track what he had left on the plate. So Buckling's task? Make everything as nice as we can. It worked. Their first camp together, for AJ's last fight against Franklin, the former heavyweight champion, was a career-high 255.4 pounds. But every single workout was fueled perfectly, Buckling says. He had energy in the 12th round, when people were always talking about him gassing out. One meal summed up Joshua's supreme dedication. He wanted to blend his chicken and rice up, and drink it. That's how seriously he was taking it. Spence is never found wanting, either. It's often him waking people up for the morning run up the mountain. Next week, Buckling will hit the road once more. He's off to Baltimore to see Davis, who was recently released after 44 days behind bars for violating house arrest. He's been eating prison food, Buckling says. So it's time to go down there, armed to the teeth with stakes. Before then, though, Buckling must finish the biggest job of a remarkable career. Starting with Friday's weigh-in, bad weight cuts do your body damage. They can take years off your life, he admits. No pressure, then. High stakes before juicy steaks.